Now, equally as daunting, it is easily proven that Joseph Biden's 1994 crime law led to the drastic increases in police brutality. As he stated and bragged, we got thousands, hundreds of thousands of policemen now on the scene. It also led to the militarization of local and state police forces, who were now being armed and equipped as if they were in war theaters overseas, as U.S. soldiers are. All of this is linked to his crime bill. So while he is criticizing President Trump, Joseph Biden, while he is criticizing President Trump's dissension against current protests, he is the culprit who made these horrors possible. And now he's running for office and has fear that the election may be stolen by President Trump. He believes he's a shoe-in. Well, Allah further states in the Holy Quran, whoever recommends and helps a good cause becomes a partner therein. And whoever recommends and helps an evil cause shares in its burden. And Allah hath power over all things. So Joseph Biden carries an incredible burden that continues to degenerate his 77-year-old frail frame. Notwithstanding black politicians and Negro leaders, because some Negro leaders still exist, unfortunately, in 2020. They deem him, Joseph Biden, to be the great white hope over his white brother, President Trump. Now, I would think that the national and international rise against injustice and police brutality, sparked in part by the reprehensible murder of George Floyd, has shown us that we do not need a white hope in the president's office. Our need is, number one, to know what is right, and number two, to stand against wickedness and injustice regardless of who is in the office of the U.S. president. In other words, if those killings continue to take place, if Joseph Biden is elected, does that keep us off the streets and from protesting? It shouldn't. But the great dilemma we face today is having the wherewithal to stand against the wickedness that is more subtle and framed as laws, usually because of political expedience. So this is mentioned in the Bible under the phrase, the throne of iniquity. It states in the book of Psalms, shall the throne of iniquity, and a throne is an office of government, shall the throne of iniquity have fellowship with thee, meaning with God, which frameth mischief by a law. So the throne of iniquity, the governments of the Western world and other governments, frame mischief through law. So the 1994 crime bill was and remains mischief, hatched by the frontrunner of the Democratic Party for the nomination of, or for the presidential election, Joseph Biden. Well, how do we overcome this dilemma, which is the dilemma of knowing how to stand against the subtle laws of mischief by this satanic world in its bitters? Because it's easy, of course, to see a brother or sister getting maimed and mauled and rise against that. But again, that maiming and mauling is the result of a law that was passed. So unless we know what Almighty God has ordained and mandated, then we will continue to be victimized. In other words, this is what the Bible is all about. There's laws and rules of human conduct and human behavior where sins are identified and classified. And it's the same with the Holy Quran. But as long as in the church we believe that a narrative of Jesus' crucifixion that happened 2,000 years ago, and songs and hymns and charity is all that this book is about, then we will not be able to use the wisdom in this book to judge what is taking place on a political level, which we will meet in the streets. And the same holds true for the Holy Quran. So that's the danger of looking at these books as history books. You don't see their relevance today, but they're more than relevant because God judges this world through both of these books. And the beating we're taking, the divine beating, is linked to our disregard and dismissal of his divine laws. We'll come back to that.